what happens when you speak out. They say the truth will set you free. But in the grand theater of power, where fortunes are made and empires are maintained, the truth is not a key, it's a trigger. It's an inconvenient, disruptive force that the players on the board cannot tolerate. Charlie Kirk wasn't some fringe lunatic. He wasn't pushing conspiracies from a basement. He was a young man at the head of a massive organization, a man they thought they had created, a man they thought they owned. And then he started asking the one question they never want their assets to ask. Who benefits? Who truly profits from these endless wars? Who funds the politicians on both sides of the aisle? Who owns the narrative that we are fed every single day? Charlie was clear about what he believed. He believed in America first. That wasn't just a slogan for him, it became a conviction. Not Israel first, not Ukraine first, not the interests of a global empire built on lobbying, backroom deals, and the blood of soldiers. And the minute he truly owned that conviction, the minute he spoke it with clarity and force, the machine turned on him. But the new evidence shows the attack didn't just come from the outside. The most dangerous pressure was coming from inside his own house. 48 hours before he died, he made his move. He gathered his people, his donors, his inner circle, and he told them, I'm done. He was abandoning the pro-Israel cause because he refused to be bullied, refused to be a mouthpiece for interests that were not American. He chose the truth over the money. And in their world, that is an act of war. They gave him an ultimatum and he chose integrity, so they gave him the bullet. Because when the establishment decides you're a liability, they don't argue with you. They erase you, not with debate, but with silence, the permanent kind.
Look, I'm not some polished political guy like Robert over there. I'm a cop. I've spent my life on the street. And I know what a hit looks like. I know what a message killing looks like. And what I saw happen to Charlie Kirk, that ain't just some random act of violence. That was a message. Targeted, calculated, surgical. It's the oldest story in the book, the one they play out in the back alleys in the boardrooms. It's what the mob calls silver or lead, plata o plomo. You either take the money, you take the silver, and you keep your mouth shut and play along, or you take the lead. Charlie refused the silver. He spat on it. So they gave him the lead right in the throat, so he could never speak again. And you know what else they expect? They expect us to be stupid. They want us to ignore all the red flags that are screaming at us. The missing autopsy report. Why hide it if it confirms your story? You hide it because it proves you're a liar. The fact they didn't take him to the nearest trauma center. You don't accidentally drive past a hospital that could save a man's life. That's not a mistake, that's a decision. They let him die. We were told the case was solved before the body got cold, but every single detail stinks of a cover-up. And if you dare question it, you're dangerous. You're radical. You're anti-something. They want you blind, they want you numb. The way they covered this up, like a magician with sleight of hand. Look at the decoy with the saggy pants, but don't ask about the real shooter. Look at the wound, but don't ask why the people who were supposed to save him took him on a scenic drive to a second-rate hospital. We're not stupid, we're awake. And if asking basic questions is now a threat, then maybe it's time we became the threat. Not with violence, but with the truth so loud it shatters their entire illusion.
Let's speak plainly, because the time for subtlety is long past. Charlie Kirk was assassinated because he was about to blow the whistle on the people who owned him and his organization. This wasn't just about him questioning AIPAC in the abstract. According to Candace Owens, this was a direct confrontation. He was explicitly walking away from his pro-Israel donors. He told them to their faces. This wasn't a policy debate, it was a declaration of independence. And in doing so, he threatened a massive payday. The entire financial future of his own organization, Turning Point USA. Suddenly, he wasn't their greatest asset. He was their greatest liability. So now you have to ask the truly dark question, who had more to lose? An outside enemy who disagreed with him, or the insiders who stood to lose millions, maybe hundreds of millions, if their golden goose stopped laying golden eggs for the agenda? Charlie never said, hate Israel. He said, why are their donors steering my organization and our Congress? Why is their agenda being prioritized over America's? And for that, They made sure he never spoke again. You don't get removed like Charlie without a green light from people who sit above the law. International power brokers, intelligence assets, and it now seems the very people who claim to be his allies, his friends, his mentors. The betrayal is Shakespearean, it's sophisticated, it's happening in the shadows, and it stinks of greed and treason. The only thing stronger than their grip is the truth told out loud.
How many times do we have to see it play out the same damn way? Someone speaks up, gets too close to the flame, exposes the machine, and then, bam, tragedy strikes. A convenient, perfectly timed tragedy. Remember Seth Rich, Andrew Breitbart, the whistleblowers and truth-tellers silenced in accidents, overdoses, or random shootings. Charlie wasn't the first, but he damn sure better be the last. This time, though, it's different. This time, the betrayal came from his own camp, his own partners, the people who were supposed to have his back. They were so desperate for that payday, they stood by and let him get taken out. Or maybe they even helped clear the path. That's the question that should keep every one of us up at night. His own organization is silent, lying by omission, refusing to answer direct, simple questions from Candace Owens. Why? Because they're scared? Or because they're guilty? If they can do this to a man like him, their own leader, what can they do to you? You speak too loud, you ask the wrong questions, poof, you're gone. And the media will bury you before your family's even had time to grieve. But here's the truth. Every so-called conspiracy theory ends up being just a spoiler alert for next month's headlines. The shooter? A ghost. The footage? Manipulated. And his own organization? They're more interested in damage control and protecting their funding than finding the truth for the man who built their entire empire. This wasn't random. This wasn't politics. This was a business decision, executed with a bullet.
This is no longer just about Charlie Kirk. His death has exposed something far more sinister. It's about all of us. It's about whether America is still a place where you can speak your mind without worrying if a bullet's got your name on it, not from a foreign enemy, but from the people shaking your hand and funding your operation. If questioning the motives of your own financial backers is now a death sentence, then we have already lost the republic. This is the very definition of a captured state. We must draw a line here, a line in blood if we have to. No more political executions, no more media silence, and no more silence from the conservative organizations that claim to fight for us, only to cash a check when one of their own is sacrificed on the altar of influence. The playbook is decades old. Assassinate the messenger, distort the story, and spin the cover-up. What's new is the undeniable rot from within our own movement. The willingness to trade a leader for a donation. That's why they fear the truth. Not because we're violent, but because we're right. Because we can expose the rot at the heart of their power without ever firing a shot. Charlie tried to do that from the inside, and now so must we.
Look, Charlie's gone, but the truth doesn't die. It just gets passed on. And now it has a new ugly chapter. We have to speak for him now, not just against the swamp in D.C., but against the phonies and the cowards on our own side. We have to carry his torch. You want to honor Charlie? It's not enough to just share a video. You have to talk about what really happened in those last 48 hours. You have to look deeper into Turning Point's deafening silence. You have to start asking every organization you support, who funds you and what are their terms? We have to demand financial transparency from our own side. Because if we all go silent now, they win. The donors win, the cowards who chose silver over a man's life win. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick of letting them win. This ain't just about politics anymore. This is about loyalty, about decency, about having the guts to clean our own house. Charlie found the guts to stand up to his handlers. He stood tall, and he took the hit for it. Now it's our turn. Let's make sure the people who did this and the people who stood by and let it happen regret it. Not with hate, but with a tidal wave of truth that no algorithm, no donation, and no amount of insider pressure can ever stop.
Truth is not dangerous. Betrayal is. And silence in the face of it, is complicity.
Keep the conversation going. Don't let Charlie's real voice, his last act of defiance, die with him. This is Chris Dallas and Celebrity Recreations, the one channel that refuses to shut up. Like, share, subscribe. For Charlie, for the truth, for America. Riggs and Davi out.